So, a buddy of mine came up to me recently, completely frustrated. He just dropped some serious cash on a whole box of these gorgeous, hyper-realistic $25 Japanese lures. I mean, we're talking meticulously detailed scales, perfect 3D eyes, the whole shebang. He was so incredibly proud at this purchase. He took them down to the Colombo breakwater that morning, tied one on, cast it out, and absolutely nothing. Not a single bite. He asked me, why isn't my $25 masterpiece working? And honestly, I had to laugh a little, because I had to break some brutal truth to him. Fish, they do not care about human aesthetics. It is entirely about physics. That incredibly expensive lure was designed to catch one thing, and one thing only, and that's fishermen and a tackle shop. You see, we constantly project our own visual biases onto an animal that experiences the world in a fundamentally different way than we do. Think about it. When we look at a lure in the bright, clear air, it's so vivid. The colors are perfect, the anatomical details are exact. It looks exactly like a real baitfish. But that's the human view. Now look at the fish's reality. When a predator is looking up from the depths of a murky lagoon or a churning breakwater, they aren't seeing 3D holographic scales. Not at all. They are seeing a dark, blurry silhouette backlit by the surface. And far more importantly, they're experiencing a complex web of hydrodynamic vibrations. Which brings us to Section 1, the disappearing color myth. My friend was pointing out that beautiful crimson-red belly on his lure earlier, but he forgot about the absolute physics of water attenuation. Water is a dense filter. As sunlight penetrates the water column, longer wavelengths with lower energy, like red and orange, are absorbed by the water molecules almost immediately and converted into thermal energy. In the first couple of meters, sure, your red lure looks red. Push down past 5 to 10 meters, you lose 50% of your light energy. That bright red paint job turns into a dull, muddy brown. Past 20 meters, it is completely black. There's literally no red light left in the environment to bounce off the lure and into the fish's eye. And to make matters worse, a fish's raw visual power is severely diminished compared to ours. Because there is no air-to-cornea interface underwater, water is touching their eye directly, a fish's visual acuity is reduced by about 80% relative to terrestrial animals. They are functionally nearsighted. They rely on contrast and silhouettes way more than high-definition color or intricate painted-on gill plates. Aquatic biologists actually have a great way of summarizing this. They say, fish live in perpetual fog. Even in the absolute clearest water, the maximum visual distance is just a fraction of what it is on land. So past 15 feet down, that hyper-detailed red paint job you paid top dollar for is completely invisible to the fish. You literally got tricked by the manufacturer's aesthetics. So let's move on to Section 2, the sixth sense, vibrations. If fish live in a foggy, monochromatic world, how are they such incredible apex predators? Well, enter the lateral line. This is a specialized mechanoreceptive sensory system running down the side of the fish's body, giving it what scientists call a distant touch capability. Imagine being able to feel a mosquito flying past your head in a pitch-black room simply by the air pressure it pushes against your skin. That is exactly what the lateral line does for a fish. It detects the pressure waves, the hydrodynamic footprint, of anything moving nearby. It gets even crazier. The lateral line relies on little organs called neuromasts. Water displacement pushes against a flexible jelly-like structure called a cupula, which bends these tiny hair cells inside. This generates an electrical signal sent straight to the brain. Research using laser interferometry shows this system can detect movement smaller than 1 nanometer. 1 nanometer! It is effectively detecting single molecules of water moving. The fish's brain instantly processes the direction, speed, frequency, and amplitude to map out exactly what is swimming near it. So what does this actually mean for your fishing lures? It means the true trigger for a strike isn't a shiny reflection. It's the specific wobble and water displacement of the bait. A fast, tight wobble sends out a high-frequency, low-amplitude signal, screaming, "I'm a panicked little minnow," right to the lateral line. On the flip side, a wide, slow wobble from a big crankbait sends a low-frequency, high-amplitude signal, imitating larger, struggling prey. When you reel your lure in, the water flow separates around the lip or body, shedding alternating, swirling vortices of water into its wake. In physics, it's called the Kármán vortex street. This shedding creates oscillating pressure forces that violently shake the lures side to side. It's this precise, mathematically driven vibration, the wake left behind, that the fish is tracking long before it ever opens its eyes to look at the paint color. Just look at these frequencies. A calmly swimming baitfish puts out about 5 hertz.
A wildly distressed baitfish fighting for its life spikes up to 50 hertz or more. If your lure's Struhal number, that's the fluid dynamics metric that determines the vibration frequency, doesn't match the hydrodynamic signature of a real, living, struggling creature, the fish's lateral line will just reject it as background noise. Seriously, you could have a lure hand-painted by Leonardo da Vinci, and the fish will ignore it if the vibration frequency is wrong.
Which brings us right into Section 3, Engineering the Perfect Wobble. Laboratory studies consistently prove this fact. The kinetic action of a lure is the primary driver of predatory response, frequently overriding the importance of fine-scale visual paint detail. A perfect wobble that triggers a predatory reflex through the lateral line will outfish a stationary, hyper-realistic lure 100% of the time. Let me say that again. Action catches the fish. Paint catches the fisherman. Let's look at how we apply this in Section 4, Smart Science, Smart Shopping. Here's the ultimate insider secret on how you get scientifically perfect hydrodynamic lures without paying $25 a pop. The Weihai Supply Chain. Weihai is a major manufacturing hub where the world's most advanced computational fluid dynamics are used to build precision hydrodynamic molds. The factories there aren't focused on painting the Mona Lisa, they are totally focused on millimeter-perfect lips, precise internal weight transfers, and mathematically perfected oscillation frequencies. So when my buddy bought that $25 art piece, a massive chunk of his money was paying for a human artist to airbrush individual scales that literally disappear in 15 feet of water. But with a Weihai engineered lure, you're just paying for functionality. You get the exact same optimal vibration frequencies, the exact same Struhal numbers, and the same lateral line triggering action, but for a tiny fraction of the cost because they skip the useless cosmetic markup. And we're talking serious elite engineering specs designed to exploit that fish sensory biology. You get high modulus carbon rod blanks to transmit the slightest nanometer vibration right to your hand. They use high-density tungsten weights instead of toxic lead, giving a crisper acoustic rattle. They use optimized lip angles and internal rattles precisely calibrated to hit that sweet spot of 20 to 200 hertz that literally drives those canal neuromasts crazy. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, the solution for South Asian anglers. Here is your localized game plan to apply this physics-based approach right here in South Asia. Step 1, completely stop buying lures just because they look pretty to your human eyes. Step 2, bypass the expensive imported boutique brands entirely and source functional Weihai engineered lures and high modulus rods directly using Dura's global shipping. It gives you direct access to that factory-level engineering. And Step 3, take those scientifically tuned lures down to the Colombo breakwater or your murky local lagoons and cast with absolute confidence, knowing you are finally speaking the fish's language of vibration and pressure. After hearing all this, my buddy literally took his beautiful, completely useless $25 lure and tossed it right into his tackle box junk drawer. And to everyone watching, the next time you are clicking Add to Cart or standing in a tackle shop staring at a wall of shiny plastic, ask yourself, are you buying this to successfully trick a fish's lateral line with fluid dynamics, or are you just tricking yourself?